guess what we're making? Today, we're making a cardboard knife. Not just kidding. We're making a San-Mai Bowie knife here at FirstBuild. Let's get in there, fire up the forge, and get at it. First thing we need to do is make some San-Mai steel. That's this finished billet right here. Let me show you how I made this thing. I've got a core steel of 80 CRV2. That's a nice dark steel. My two jacket pieces are 15 and 20. And that's gonna be a very bright steel. So I just cleaned it all up, forge welded it chunk together. I took an angle grinder and made a bunch of diagonal cuts into the billet and then hammered it back down flat. The end result should be that you see streaks of that core steel up through the blade. So what I'm gonna do is throw it in the forge and hand hammer it to shape. So right now it doesn't look like much, but this right here is going to be the tang. This is going to become more narrow and elongated. There's a lot of material here. The excess is just going to get cut off. I'm not worried about that. And then hopefully everything will be pretty even. So I got the tang drawn out. I'm going to straighten it up and let it get cooled down. And then I'm just going to go in and do some cutting. So because this is a San-Mai construction, I really want to make sure that the core steel in the middle and the two pieces of jacket stay evenly distributed all the way down the blade. So I'm going to cut the tip in. That way it doesn't get hammered and condense the material. So right now we have this dark core steel and then two pieces of jacket on either side. So if I hammer too much into the tip and I don't do it quite right, I can get maybe too much jacket. Maybe the core will move to one side and the jacket will overlap like that. Or it just won't be even because the material is being condensed. So I'm just going to cut it, and that way everything is even from the way it was hammered out. All right, I got all the scale cleaned up. I'm going to clean up the profile a little bit with a flat disc, and then we're going to go for the heat treat. All right, so right now it's just rough ground. What I'm going to do is put it back in the forge. I'm going to hammer it as smooth and as straight as possible. Then I'm going to take it through the thermal cycles. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go in for the quench. So there's a lot that goes into Rockwell hardness, but after the quench, you really want, for this steel, you want to be somewhere above 60 to 65, maybe even a little bit more. Right now, I'm probably right above 65 Rockwell. Woo. This right here is the last piece of the katana build that we did a little while back. So this is 640 layers. It's just the last little piece of the billet off that katana. So I'm going to use this as the guard, and that should turn out pretty cool. So we're going to throw it in and hammer it to shape. So you might be thinking, oh man, this looks great, my guard's coming down. But then you got these little hairline gaps, and that is a pain in the butt. Just gonna have to very carefully just take a little bit, take a little bit, take a little bit, take a little bit. And sometimes the smallest distances take the longest time. So I dipped this knife in the acid just to see where my lines were. and it's all dark, and I'm kind of confused. I don't know if something's wrong with the acid. I don't really know how it's possible. Maybe this is something's weird with this acid. I haven't used it in a really long time. Or something else is going on, because it's just bizarre. I don't know, it's interesting. We'll just keep moving on. All right, so right now, I'm gonna put the wood block onto the tang. Now, I don't want to glue this wood block on and then not be able to drill through this metal. I'm going to hit it with a blowtorch to try to soften it up while the rest of the knife is submerged in water. If I glue that block on and try to drill through and it's not working, you know, it's a waste of material. So I don't want that to happen. So I usually don't do a ton of hidden tang knives because they stress me out. And I'll show you why. So right here in the block, we only have so much room on all dimensions before we hit this hollowed out part in the center. When I'm grinding the handle, I have to be very careful not to accidentally sand into where there's a hollow point. Now that's stressful. Second stressful part, the tang, you don't want it to be huge in a hidden tang knife because then you're gonna have a really weak handle material. So it needs to be skinny, but it can't be too skinny. This pin is gonna take up so much real estate on the tang that you're only gonna have a little bit of metal on each side. So something else about the little details, so any surface that's gonna get glue adhered to it, even underneath the shoulder here, you wanna rough all those up and clean them up. All right, so it's all glued up. We just wait for the glue to dry, and then we can put the pin in and then sand to shape, and we'll be done. So before I was really worried that something happened with the steels, but I think it was the acid was just bad or messed up or too concentrated, something like that. Because as you can see here, we have the two different layers. Now when I first etched it to check the lines, it all looked dark. And I was worried something got mixed up, and it just didn't seem physically possible that could happen with the mixture of steel. But as I kept going and I used some fresher acid, I was able to get it to pop the way I wanted to. So I'm really happy. Crisis averted. All right, everybody. So after a lot of hard work, many hours, there it is. San-Mai Bowie Knife. 80 CRV2 core. 15N20 jacket, we got a redwood burl handle, mosaic pin, and 640 layer Damascus guard. There was a few close calls, and I was unsure about a couple things through this process, but in the end, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's super light, it feels great in the hand. I think it looks pretty cool. Check out our other videos, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Quench Town, USA!